Hey, this is Daniel. You're listening to the Inside Hardcore Headstart podcast. This episode is part 2 in our brand identity series. If you haven't listened to part 1, I recommend you go back and start there. In this episode, we dive deeper into the words we identified that best represent the values of Hardcore Headstart. These are our takes on why these words resonate with us. Unfortunately, my mic quality is a little bit average, so I hope it doesn't ruin the podcast experience for you. We hope you find it valuable. Without further ado, Brand Identity Part 2.
So Brand Identity Part 2. Now, we've got 2 new people joining in on the Inside Hardcore Headstart podcast. And first person is Mark Melbourne.
Hey guys.
How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. Good to be here.
Your voice sounds incredible. And we've got Dana White, all rugged up, looking like a teddy bear there. How are you, mate?
What's up?
Sam Rayner, Dana White.
His real name is Sam Rayner, but we call him Dana White because he looks like Dana White. So, I think where we left off last time was we came up with, 25 different words that represented Hardcore Headstart as a brand. 24, sorry. And what we'll quickly start off by doing is go through each one of these words. And I think the exercise for this session is to actually come up with why we chose those words and then the answers. Just a little bit of context for people listening in. We've actually done a little bit of work behind the scenes. So we do have a few answers, but it'll be good to go over the why for each one of these words. All right, so did you want to read them out, Dana?
Integrity.
Just read them out one by one.
Yeah. That's the best shit. Dana's like, what the
So these words are integrity, impactful, knowledge/education, solid brick advice, Apple, Amazon, Maverick, strategic, positivity, fulfillment, health, investing, community, acceptance, Kaizen, philanthropic, love, trust, freedom, abundance, Gary V, essentialism, patience, and 100 Thieves.
It's a solid list there, boys. What do we think?
It's looking good. Yeah, we cut it down from, what was it before? We had like 40 or something, didn't we?
Almost 40.
Yeah.
And in that exercise, it says do not exceed 35. So we did a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of work in the first session as well to get to this stage. What do you think about these words? Let's start with Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, I think when we spoke about these words and we got people's our individual perspectives on it, it made it very clear that the same word can be interpreted in 5 or 6 different ways, and there's a lot of interrelated a lot of them are connected in different ways, but the main thing was we were looking for whether they represent what we embody or what we want to internalize as a business and as individuals. So I think we've got quite a good list with what we have so far.
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
Yeah,
all right,
let's go for it, boys.
So, why integrity?
Who wants to have a crack at that one?
I think you just nominated yourself, mate.
Me? Really? Let's go. Trying to pass the ball around.
Good try.
Well, I think some of these ones are pretty straightforward. I think this one is a straightforward one where in business you just want to have integrity, because as long as you're always doing the right thing, like that's how successful businesses are formed. You know, if you always just focus on the long term and always doing the right thing, then you're actually going to benefit yourself. There's kind of like this misconception in the business world that business people are always trying to rip you off and all of that stuff. But if they do that, yeah, they're going to get a very short-term gain, but long-term, they're just going to hurt themselves and shoot themselves in their foot. So I think it always comes down to integrity. Do the right thing, and you're just going to benefit yourselves.
It's like doing the right thing when no one is looking around. Yeah.
Doing the right thing is always the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. Why impactful?
Because we want to leave an impact, right? Like, what's the point of doing anything? What's the point of dedicating time into this if we're not going to leave an impact? Like, I think the goal of life should be to try and leave the world a better place than when you found it. And how do you do that? Well, you leave an impact behind.
So like when we're impactful, like, you know, if it's kind of meaningless if we haven't achieved that.
Yeah. And G actually made a good point on impactful. He said impactful in the sense that we impact the world in a positive way, but also impactful in the sense that whatever we're delivering, information, knowledge, we deliver in an impactful way. So it's like two different meanings to impactful. And I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Shout out to G, who can't be here. He's at work, he's grinding. All right. Why knowledge/education, which is pretty much the backbone of everything we do. So we believe to get ahead in life, you need knowledge. And the thing is that knowledge is not scarce in this world. It's the actual desire to learn that is scarce. And I know from my experience, Doc's experience, Dylan's experience, knowledge has given us this platform that we are currently on right now. Without knowledge, you can't really get anywhere in life. Knowledge is freedom if you can apply it. What do you boys think?
Yeah, 100%. Like, knowledge in this day and age is like the modern tool. You know, whoever has the most knowledge and organized correctly in their minds, they can achieve the most. You know, where back in the old days, it was about, you know, who was the biggest, or who, you know, if they're working on the farm, they could do the most work. But now it comes down to knowledge in this day and age.
I feel like one of the things that we need to try and convey as a brand as we grow is, I feel like there's like people, I'm not going to name names, but I feel like it's pretty easy to figure out who I'm talking about. But people have almost discredited the word knowledge. And when you use the word knowledge now, I feel like there's like this stigma behind it, which is like negative. And Marky's laughing because he probably knows exactly who I'm talking about. But like, it isn't just one person. A lot of people have like discredited the word knowledge to the point now where people say like, hey, you need to grow in your knowledge. It's like cringe almost. So it's like, how can we deliver knowledge and education with a new meaning to it? Like, that's something I feel like we need to think about as a brand, because knowledge is incredibly important, but due to like the misrepresentation of knowledge through other people, it's like diminished the meaning of it.
I think it was Dylan that said that knowledge is a bit like a toolbox, and the more you learn, the more you educate yourself, you're adding more tools to that toolbox, which you can use, whether it's in investing or whichever area.
So the next one, why solid brick advice?
Yeah, I'll do this one. We spoke about it in the first one. But what solid brick advice, or maybe the opposite of solid brick advice, is clay advice, which is what most people focus on. So what they're doing is they're giving you surface level information, and that is not always valuable. You know, they tell you it's valuable because they're giving you something for free, but what they're actually doing is confusing you, and they're putting you on a different path, and they're not asking you the right questions. Like, is this knowledge actually for you? Or more importantly, like, is this the knowledge that you actually need, or the advice that you actually need in that stage? So the analogy that I used was, they always give you like the letter G. But if we're talking about the alphabet, they haven't taught you A, B, C, D, E, F first. So the true value when it comes to giving advice and stuff is organizing in such a way that they can understand it, and then serving it on like a dinner plate so that they can truly be successful and they can go from A to Z.
Spot on. All right. Moving on. Why Apple? What is it about Apple that we resonate with at Hardcore?
They're the pinnacle of quality and details. They're the pinnacle of a lot of qualities that we have in this list. To be honest with you, a lot of words that are in this list can be thrown back to Apple, but specifically the reason why we have it in there a lot is their meticulous attention to detail. And every single little bit in that company is meticulously designed for a purpose. And that purpose is to serve the customer. And, you know, as an example is like with Apple, they want their product to be a complete experience. They've designed their product to be a complete experience so that when you buy something from Apple, the whole process of opening that product bit by bit is meticulously designed to give you the Apple experience. And that meticulous attention to detail in every aspect of the whole entire company with the sole purpose to satisfy the customer to the greatest possible outcome. That is what makes Apple in this list, in my opinion.
Let's go.
Sweet. All right. So the next one is a big one, and I think this should be like a podcast in its own, which is why Amazon, boys?
Amazon Prime, mate, $7. Next day delivery. That's it. Cheers, boys.
I swear, every single day at the dojo, we either have 2 deliveries. One is either from Uber Eats or from Amazon. And like, I swear, we know like the Amazon delivery person by first name basis.
You need to take the either out of that sentence. It's not either. It's every day we have 2 deliveries.
No, we have multiple Amazon deliveries a day. Multiple.
There's a regular occurrence when we're all upstairs. Someone comes down and there's like literally a wall in front of the door.
Like literally, when we're in here the other day for meetings, and I walked out of meetings, and there was 4 packages lined up across the counter outside the door where we're having meetings.
But why is it that we always fucking order from Amazon?
Because they
comes down to
straight
value.
away.
Comes down to value.
It's cheap, right? And it comes straight away.
Exactly.
And it's free delivery.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why Amazon's up there, right? The value to the customer.
Yeah.
They're so above and beyond, and it is the one thing that they focus on more than any other company that we know.
Yeah.
And that's why they're up there. Like our, continued belief in providing as much value to the customer as possible, regardless of the situation, every single time.
Why don't you tell us, Samir, about, you were talking about Jeff Bezos and what is it, the annual letter?
Oh, yes. So Jeff Bezos' final letter to the shareholders as CEO was really eye-opening because he talks about value creation for just customers in general. And he always instills the culture that it is always day one, even though it's like a $1.4 trillion company. He always says it's day one, right? And he actually does mathematics of showing how much value Amazon has provided, like a dollar figure versus their profits. So it's like he even equates the hourly rate of a person to be $13 an hour. And he actually calculates a value of like $160 billion a year of value, tangible value. There's a lot of intangible values as well that we're just not considering. It's hard.
Like, what is that value?
It's like how much time you're saving the customer.
Yeah.
It's like you have Amazon Prime, which gives you next day delivery, right? You have Amazon Prime that gives you streaming services. Then you have AWS, which helps businesses. And if you're like an individual that's really smart and you want to create shit, but you don't have the facilities, that's what AWS is for. Then you have Whole Foods, which is like tapping into like a more nutritious, healthy lifestyle. So it's like they're just providing value everywhere you go.
I think the point is Amazon just does everything. And they're going to take over the world soon, but they do everything with the customer first in mind.
I know, like a little note that I've noticed with me with Amazon is it's changed my purchasing behavior. Like with other brands, because it's free now for free postage on everything. Like with other brands, I'll be like, oh shit, I don't have $50 worth of stuff. Should I actually buy this or not? And then maybe like 30% of the time, I actually just close my cart down and don't even buy. But Amazon just like, what do I need? Buy it. 3 hours later, buy it. And because there's no minimum, it's always free. And I might order 4 things in 4 separate transactions in one day.
I find myself actually spending a touch more than I would on other sites as well. Because I know there's no delivery. I'm like, boys, I got an extra $20 because of delivery.
But you know what's funny though? So G ordered a Kindle from Amazon. It's funny because I swear to God, a Kindle is bigger than 4 inches.
I thought it was an iPad.
I swear to God.
That's what I keep telling myself.
I thought it was an iPad, like the size of an iPad.
I thought it was the size of an iPad. When he bought that thing out, I'm like, dude, you got this shit off
Dude, it's tiny, man.
It's tiny.
He got this shit from Wish. He got
No, but like, did they make it smaller?
Well, there's different types of Kindles. So there are bigger ones that you can get.
But that being said, talking of Kindle, like at the start, Amazon was like losing money on Kindle just to like bring people in and give them as much value. So in Jeff Bezos' letter to the shareholders, he always says, produce more than you consume.
Do you guys know about the Twitch thing? Like, you know, when you subscribe to someone on Twitch, how you're like donating to them, they're paying them. You know, when you sign up to Prime, you get one free Twitch subscription or something. So I think it's $2 goes to that guy. So then your Prime's only costing you $5.
Fuck,
Like,
boys.
you can give $2 to someone every month out of your Prime.
Putting it
Yeah.
honestly, do we get more than $5 of value from Amazon a month?
Hell
way
yeah.
Like you guys at this house, you get more than $5 value a day.
For sure.
You know, we've already got like 2 packages today from Amazon.
Oh, I got to tell everybody about my last package last night.
What happened?
So I've been researching like how to clean your teeth, like as a dentist.
Dude, this is the most Dylan shit I've ever heard in my entire life. When this shit popped up on the doorstep.
So I've been studying like how to become a dentist. And I've been looking at like how to clean your teeth, like properly.
Dude, you
Dude,
research the
there's
weirdest
no
stuff, man.
There's
Like,
no
you don't do
cameras, you can't
anything
see
at
this.
half.
Dude, the boys just looking at him like, what the fuck are you talking
Hey,
about?
Dylan,
That's a
no,
profession.
no word of a lie. If this has happened in the last week, I've literally done the same thing.
Yeah, almost got us, man.
Hand on fucking heart.
Yeah,
We're either been advertised to or someone's like gotten into our heads, but I've
Yeah.
been doing the same thing.
it's really easy to clean your teeth.
Oh, here we go.
Like, and you save a lot of time. I don't know if I'm going to regret this, going to have no teeth in the future.
Imagine
But
you're
I
a
bought a
Collingwood
whole
supporter.
dentistry kit off Amazon for $30. Came the next day. I got all my tools, right? And then, because I was looking at my teeth, I was getting a bit of yellow in between. I thought it was actually degrading my tooth. So I was just looking at it and, oh no, you're actually supposed to scrape it real hard. Scraped it back in 3 seconds. It's just clean.
What's
I actually
in
thought it
this
was like-
kit?
Huh?
What's in the kit?
Oh, just all these different scrapers and
Ah,
stuff.
okay.
But I actually asked him last night. I was like, so which, you know, what out of these got like 10 different utensil things? I'm like, oh, what do they all do? He goes, they all do a little bit of scrape. They're just different levels of scrape.
No, what was the analogy that you used about the golf clubs?
That was fucking funny.
Yeah. What was it? It was just like,
it's just like a golf club. It just does different shit.
All
But
the
it's a
golf
golf club.
They're
It's
all
a further.
they're all golf clubs. They're
They all hit the
scrapers.
ball. They just hit the
Some
ball
scrape
differently.
balls,
Yeah.
some hit it further. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Alright, let's move on from Amazon.
Why Maverick?
I reckon I'll take this one because it was entertainment. This is what, or entertaining or something like that used to be there, and we changed it to Maverick for the like to actually kind of follow Logan Paul. Not that we want to be like Logan Paul in the sense of like the type of content he produces, but the way that Logan Paul has taken entertainment and built a business around that, and the way that he sees entertainment and business combined, in my opinion, is just second to none. And he has paved the way for creators to follow his footsteps in the way that he's merged entertainment and business together. And the word Maverick behind that as well is just so meaningful. It's like, it's be different, like be better, be great. Like you can be better, you can be different. So we're not just out there to be entertaining, but we want to take it that next step further. Like we want to strive to be the most entertaining, most not knowledgeable, but like provide the most value possible through entertainment that we possibly can to the customer, to tell them to be different, to show them the different ways.
That's well put.
Yeah, I think we got a key few words that we've written up here. Is like think big, be creative, be different, and going against the grain. And I think like the way you just explained that, like,
Yeah.
you can't just perfectly.
Nailed it.
Beautiful.
Excellent. So next one, why strategic?
Might have a crack at this one. I feel like it's really important to, you're always like told, like, based on the Nike logo, what is it, Nike motto, like just do it. But sometimes if you just keep on just doing it, you can just find yourself on this wrong path because you're not reevaluating, creating a strategy of how to actually get to where you want to go. So I feel like that's our unique strength. A part of our team is like we have this ability to think, through all the knowledge that we've acquired. So now that we can come up with a great strategy and how to get there in the most efficient way. And sometimes you can argue that, you're wasting time by building the strategy. But I feel like, like right now, we haven't outputted so much content and we're about to start doing it. But what we do have is we've pretty much built a pretty damn good strategy, and I think it also helps with the vision. because now we all understand what we're working towards and how it all comes together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like it's something that's missing a lot in this day and age.
Yeah, totally.
Allows you to execute upon that vision throughout the years, right? Like if you've got a actual framework and an actual business plan, anytime you kind of move away from that and get lost, instead of compounding your, negative fucking results, you can just turn yourself back onto the plan that you guys built and then continue progress upon your line.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was just going to ask Dylan, like, what's your thoughts on striking the balance between going fast and getting it right? Because I suppose, you've got the measure twice, cut once, but at what point is it you're just sitting on it for too long?
I think it depends, like, if the outcome of that decision can have more of a negative impact to you or not. Like, if the downside is so small, then you may as well just make the mistake and then readjust later. But if it is quite a detrimental outcome, then it's always better to think. Yeah, so I think it comes down to opportunity cost.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the impact, I suppose.
But also you could probably reference Naval, where he says, like, you don't want to get lucky. So, like, in 1,000 universes, you want to have the same outcome 999 times. So it's like, that comes down to strategy.
That's the...
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. So next one is positivity. Why are we positive, boys?
Well, it's so much better than being negative, right?
Yay.
But it just makes you happier. Like,
Yeah.
it just, like, when you're an optimist rather than a pessimist looks at the problem and sees looks at a situation and sees the problem, where an optimist looks at the situation and sees the opportunity. And that's a big difference in the outcome of results. If you're a pessimist and you look at the outcome and you see the problem, then all you're going to see in life is problems. But if you're like an optimist, if you have positivity and you look at the problem and you see opportunity, then problems don't come in the way, and you can actually bypass those problems. Because, like, there are always going to be problems, and the optimist and the positive one doesn't deny that there's not problems there, but they look at those problems and say, I'm going to choose to see the optimism in that and move past that.
Just adding to that, being one of the newer guys to the group, I think positive psychology has a big impact. I struggled with this a lot growing up, trying to, being over analytical, being too critical, and being around a group where everyone's just positive. It means that I get results, and I'm able to just be able to, not worry about the negative thoughts, because the default in the room is always so positive. So I think it goes a long way, definitely.
Also, psychologically, being positive changes the atmosphere of the room. When you're in a negative room, you come in, like, if you come into an atmosphere of negativity, then you come from a basis of fear, and you're afraid to do things. You're afraid to speak out. You're afraid to step up. You're afraid to take action, because the negativity around you don't want that. Because, like, naturally, as humans, we don't want negativity in our life, and negativity puts us down and makes us feel sad. So we don't want to be in and around that. And being in a negative environment actually is almost like it's like a flame, right? If output is the flame and negativity is the lid that covers the flame, where positivity, you take the lid off and allow the flame to flourish. When you walk into a positive environment, then you feel inspired, encouraged. Because the other thing as well is, like, positivity breeds creativity. So if you're in a positive environment, you don't feel that fear, so the opposite of fear is confidence, and you feel the confidence to step out and put yourself out there because there's positivity around you. And regardless if it's good or not, in a positive environment, you say, hey, it's good. I think you can work on this, but, like, good on you for stepping out there and doing that. Then you can actually start to put reps in and get better. Where if you're in a negative environment and you put something out there, they're like, no, it's terrible. Well, then you don't want to put yourself out there again.
I also think, like, when you're going through something difficult, so life has its challenges, its adversities, and, like, you get knocked down or you're having a bad week, you're able to bounce back a lot quicker when you have
100%.
that positive environment. So you don't people who don't have that support network, that positive support network, they get stuck on a little thing, and that becomes their entire week, their year, So that's what I've noticed for me personally.
Totally. And I think us as humans are naturally drawn to positivity.
Absolutely. All right. So the next one is why fulfillment?
Because Amazon fulfills their orders so quickly.
Amazon fulfillment.
Fuck. I guess with fulfillment, you obviously want to be doing, or you obviously want to be spending your time doing things that are meaningful.
I think I'd ask the question is, why is fulfillment important on the journey that we want to take people on? I'm super, super passionate about fulfillment. I think like fulfillment to me is a huge passion of mine. I get a lot of fulfillment in my faith. And I think because I've experienced so much fulfillment, I feel like I have authority to speak on this because I understand I've lived a life that was unfulfilled, and now I'm living a life now that is completely fulfilled. The difference is completely staggering, and my output is completely the difference in my output is just unbelievable. And fulfillment, the reason why it's important is because it's not enough to just make money. It's not enough to just have a good job. It's not enough to have a nice house. It's not enough to have these things. You have to find something in life that goes beyond yourself, is greater than yourself, that you can work towards to find fulfillment in. Otherwise, you'll never be happy. And if you don't have fulfillment, you'll never have happiness. And happiness is what you get from fulfillment. And there's going to be days where life's going to get hard. It's going to knock you around. Like, you know, your investments are going to fail. Your business is going to have bad days. You're going to have breakdowns in relationships that you need to repair. You're going to have people say mean stuff to you. So if your purpose is materialistic things, then when the hard stuff comes, or if you achieve that stuff, then you have no fulfillment in that, and it's not enough. You can't persevere through hard times if you don't have something greater than yourself to work towards that gives you fulfillment. For example, if it's bigger than yourself, then yourself can't tear it down. So if you have a purpose that is bigger than yourself, when the hard times come, you don't have to fall back on you and your own might and your own power. You can actually say, no, I need to achieve something that goes beyond me. And I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for that purpose that is greater than me. And that's what will get you through the hardest times in your life.
I think also at a certain point as well, money actually loses its value and its importance to you. Because it's like, as soon as you make $10 million, right? But let's say you make $10 million in a fulfilled way, or you can have the option to make $15 million in an unfulfilled way. It's like, well, which is the better option? You know, I feel like most people would actually take the 10 million. You know, at a certain level, like those extra millions, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think it comes down to like money in its inherent purpose is a tool. So you use that tool for whatever is necessary, and using it on like materialistic things eventually gets boring. So you either use it, you know, once you use that tool after, you know, riding on ski boats and shit gets boring, you either use it to, again, fulfill yourself in helping other people, or to take on new challenges or something like that. But just the pursuit of more money to not put it to, or not allocate it towards things that make you fulfilled is essentially a waste of time.
Totally. And I feel like with money, every stage you're like, oh, if I only got this, like that'll fulfill me. Like, how many times have you bought a new car and it's like, oh, like not brand new, but like buy new anything, like buy a new phone, buy a new car. People, when they buy a house, it's like that feeling when they first buy it is that dopamine hit is huge. But as soon as that dopamine hit goes away, no matter how large that item was in comparison to where you've been, like for example, that someone was raised on nothing, they eventually buy a house, and that dopamine hit when they finally buy that house is through the roof. But eventually after a year's time, they are so used to that house that it doesn't actually fulfill them anymore. And no amount of money can change that feeling. You could sit on $2 billion or $100 billion, and eventually in a year's time, that gets boring because you had $100 billion for a year and it's not giving you any more dopamine.
I think like really worrying thing is that, you know, consumerism was always ever increasing. So people are always buying more and more and more shit, and it's chasing that feeling that you're talking about exactly there. It's like trying to get that next dopamine hit. It's unfortunately the exact same as drug addicts. they're trying to chase that thing, that hit they got the very first time when they made that purchase. I'm just thinking on the spot here, but it's kind of really, you're never going to attain that because, you know, when you're a kid, you never have any money at all. When you buy that first dopamine hit, it feels fucking really good because you worked your ass off for it. And when you kind of build into like having just a normal job and it's something that you can continuously obtain, and then, you know, as you keeping up with the Joneses and continue to build upon that, you know, things, you're never going to be able to reach that good feeling of working hard for something and just getting it. So, I don't know, yeah. And I think, like, obviously we all work hard because we're investing in trading business. We work hard to, you know, make money, but there's a purpose behind why we make money. And I think, you know, we're going to get into that relatively soon, and probably right now when it comes to health.
Yeah.
I might just build into that, if that's all right.
Yeah. So why health, Doc?
Yeah, there's different types of health. Obviously physical, mental, spiritual kind of help. And I mean, you know, we're big believers of optimizing ourselves to the best of our ability when it comes to, you know, staying fit, eating them decently the right foods. I mean, I must admit, sometimes we get Uber Eats just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. How I relate health back to what I was previously talking about is using that money a tool to donate to people who need and don't have the opportunities that we do. So, you know, we all kind of prescribe here to something called effective altruism, which is allocating your money in the correct places that's going to have the best ROI. So when it comes to health, there's a lot of people in third world countries who unfortunately don't have the opportunity that we do of being born in a first world country. And like, you can work here at Macca's and like really make a life for yourself just working that minimum wage job. But in third world countries, they simply don't have the opportunity to even progress through money. So, you know, for us, a health point of view is using the money as a tool to help our soul, right? Helping out people, and, you know, tied in directly, as Mark was saying, everything's interrelated, is feeding our soul and helping our soul be at peace by using money, the tool to help as many people as possible, will lead to fulfillment and happiness.
It sounds extremely utopian, but I don't see why it's not possible.
It's absolutely possible. I mean, the amount of cases where people have genuinely done that, I think it's, people may not think it's possible, not hear about it as much because it's the least sexy thing to do with money. The most sexy thing to do is, I mean,
splash it out
without using the stereotypes, go buy a Lambo and all the rest of that crap.
Flex for the gram.
You know, that shit eventually gets boring. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I'd much rather be helping people out with capital than running around a Lambo by myself, being surrounded by people I love, helping people, you know, with no opportunity than buy another second Lambo. So.
Yeah.
I love that lesson about do it for the soul, because I feel like one of the toughest things that we've had to face, come to terms with on this journey, is we've seen some of our idols and people we respect do horrible, like, you know, promoting different products and services, which just suck. And you can just see it's a money grab. And you're thinking like, damn, man, you've already made millions and millions. You got more money than you can ever spend. Why do you do this, which is hurting people? And why do you not have the ability to reflect and see that as actually hurting your soul?
Yeah. Shout out to CoffeeZilla.
and Cameo.
Let's go.
Next one. Why investing, boys? Why invest? Why invest in general? It doesn't have to be money.
Yeah, dude. Like investing, like you hit the nail on the head there. Like investing isn't just financial. We relate it a lot financial, but investing is in every single part of your life. And investing, like what when you break it down, what is investing? It's not giving
allocation of resources for a specific outcome.
Yeah, and that outcome is in the future. So it's making decisions with the future in mind. So in like when you make an investment, you're making a disciplined decision. Well, hopefully it's disciplined because you can make some pretty undisciplined investments. But the kind of investments that we want to talk about is making a disciplined decision to reap future results.
And you always want to be ROI positive.
Yes.
So it's like we always want to think strategically to have the best kind of investment. And I think more than money, I would say investment of time is probably more important because time is finite. You can always make more money, but you can never get back time
So where do you invest your time?
in things that can make me money.
No, here's why. Here's why.
Relationship.
Here's why.
Here's why. No,
Did you listen to anything we just said in the last 10 minutes?
Hold on. Let me explain. Here's why. So the reality is no. The reality is the reality is in order to actually free up more time, you actually need capital. That's the reality, right? You can't. There's no like way around it. That's just how the world works. In order to free up time, you have to have money. And I personally feel like I'm in a very fortunate position where I don't have to work a 9 to 5. I've got investments that actually I can live off now. And I've noticed that like from doing less actionable tasks, I'm actually able to think better. I'm able to make better decisions. I'm able to invest my time better into other things, right? Not just money, right? So I'm able to invest more time into my family. I'm able to invest more time into, relationships. I'm able to think better.
And that's the result.
That's
of
the results
investing
of
your
investing.
time
Yeah.
and money for the past few years.
Yes. But I initially invested it for the money because I knew I wanted to save time. I wanted to buy back time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think investment so that you can have time is way more important than money because time will give you freedom to think. Thinking will lead to knowledge. Knowledge will lead to whatever you want.
Yeah, the crazy thing about the system is like, touching on that point is they're always saying like investing is risky and cash is safe. But a long-term cash position is like the riskiest thing you can do because it's actually a guaranteed loss. Yeah. There is no scenario where cash rises in value over the next 20 years. It always goes down. So it's like, I feel like that's our role as well. We've got to flip that narrative. And another little thing that's slightly off topic, but it's talking about investing was I was watching this like documentary made by Real Vision. I got to find the guy's name. I should actually know his name, but they were interviewing one of the best value investors that they've ever come across. And what he did was like he allocates his capital so well where he just cannot see how he can ever lose money. It's like the safest possible way. But something that was very interesting was he was allocating his capital on one of his farms. And I think he was planting, it was cherry trees, where these cherries, he would not see the fruit of his labor until like 2 or 3 generations past his death. So he wanted to do that as an investment, even though he doesn't get the financial return of that investment, but for the legacy of his family to think long term and to remember the mindset and everything that he has learned. So that was like a move for him so that the family could pass down that knowledge from generation to generation. So I thought that was really interesting.
That's really interesting.
It's a really interesting story. I've seen I've seen families where like they're actually living in generational legacies, and it's like I just find that so special.
All right. Moving on. Why community?
It's what we're made for as human beings. I feel like human beings were made to be in community. And if there's anything that we've learned over the last, so we're currently sitting in July 2021. And if there's anything that we've learned over the last 15 months is that being in lockdown and being stripped away from community does complete detriment to the mental health. And why community for this? Well, when you go on the journey of trying to kind of like break apart from what you've been taught your whole life and understand that there is actually, much better ways to get ahead in life, then you're quite alone on that journey, and you're by yourself. And it's not good for man to be alone. It's not good for man to be by himself. So it's great to surround yourself with community of like-minded people that you can fall back on and rely on and turn to when times are hard, because we're not designed to be alone.
Yeah, we have many examples of people who kind of we conversate with regularly, and like they have no other. Someone's getting a call, boys.
Is that Uber Eats?
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Answer it?
No,
Do you
just
want me to answer it?
turn it off.
Oh, okay.
Marky's phone's ringing.
Mate, it's your first podcast and you're already fired. Sorry, mate.
Spam call.
Can someone add a word to the list? Silent.
Silent.
Or vibrate.
Vibrate.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Hardcore vibrations.
Sorry about that, fellas.
That's so good, so good.
I actually forgot what I was talking about. What was
The
that?
community. People go on this journey.
Yeah, we know like people we contact with regularly who are struggling. They're starting this journey and they simply don't have anyone to fall back on. And a lot of people, especially when I started the journey as well, they criticize you for doing something wildly different. There's a lot of people out there who feel exactly the same, and we're kind of like that safe haven, like that big hug. It's like, no, we all think the same. We're telling you this is the right way to go and do something. Well, we believe it's the right way to do something. Continue to pursue down this journey. See what it can offer you. Don't just because it's something you've been taught for your entire life. That's not necessarily the right thing. What if all those people, unfortunately, are leading lives of quiet desperation?
I think if you're going against the grain, or you're part of the minority in doing something, you're always going to find like it's a lot easier to do it with a group of people than alone. Otherwise it's a lonely path otherwise. And a lot of people who, get into investing for the first time feel like there's a lot of information, but there isn't a network around them that they can really discuss.
That's I feel like that's what makes this part the most sacred part of what we're trying to build. And what I mean by that is it's sacred because everything else that we're doing is already out there. Like the knowledge is already out there, right? And it's not out there in a way that we're going to structure it, right? We're obviously going to put a twist on it that we think is going to benefit people. But the reality is the knowledge is out there. If people want to search for it hard enough, they can find it. The entertainment is out there. Everything that we're doing is already out there. But what is not out there the way that we feel like it should be is community. So like in a moment of full transparency to the people listening, that's what we need to figure out as a business is how can we provide community greater than anybody else, because this is the most sacred part of what we're building as a business is the community that we need to try and build behind it.
I think even maybe in a touch on the financial side, say with our group chat, that financial community that we have, like imagine one of us was just cut off from this community. It's a scary thought, even scary for myself. Like if I was one day cut off from what we've built, I'm thinking, oh damn, now there's like the workload has tripled to find investment opportunities, and then maybe the investment opportunities that I find are no longer A class because we're all helping each other in this community. And I think that's the power and the benefit of it in that sense too.
Many hands makes for light work, right?
Well, I guess that's it. That's brand identity. So part 1 already up. This was part 2, and
If you've made it this long, then
if you've made it this long, I must say you're a trooper and you deserve a cookie.
I love it.
Back it up.
Back her up. Let's get some lunch.
Back it up.
Back her up, boys. Thank you for listening.